How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Talk4 Podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here today. And wow, what an incredible episode we've got coming up. This is going to be absolutely awesome. I can't wait to share it with you. And just want to say that episodes like this and guests like this one are made possible by the incredible subscriber base who keep coming back, watching the episodes and liking, subscribing, and following and rating. It makes a massive difference and really helps me push this podcast to the true vision I have for it in the future. Every little helps. So, going to ask you if you can do the same today. If you're new here, please do subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, leave a rating. And yeah, it's going to help out a load. This podcast is just going to keep getting better. And I can't wait to share you guys with episodes in future. And for now, this one right here. Enjoy. How's it going, guys? Welcome to episode 125 of Talk4, the Quickfire podcast, where we ask 4 unique questions to some of the best and highest performing people in the world. Behind the mic today is your host, Skupien. That's me. And let me introduce our incredible guest for today. So honored to have you here, man. Lance Power is going to be answering some questions today. So, Chief Power, how you doing today? Welcome to the show.
Louis, I'm doing great. Yeah, thank you so much. This is a super awesome opportunity to connect with an incredible, like-minded individual who just loves kind of getting to the root of what leads to success in life. I've had a chance to kind of see your show, watch your show, listen to your show, and you've had some incredible guests. So I am super honored to get a chance to chat with you and excited for the conversation.
Yeah, me too. And we were discussing before the show. It's one of those ones that we've had booked in for a while. We've been kind of connecting dots to make these busy schedules align. And I think it's a testament to a great team of people you've got to be able to make people who are across the pond in totally different time zones with very busy schedules connect in this way. And obviously people don't know the exact time right now, but thank you for being up at the ungodly hours of dawn to do this. I really appreciate it. And I can just say as well, it's one of the best backdrops I think I've ever seen for a podcast. It just looks so good. Thanks for the effort.
Yeah, no, thanks. I wish I could say this is my office, but like you mentioned, the incredible team. We have the most incredible team I've ever been a part of, and they do a great job of making sure we highlight the great things that we do in the 67th Cyberspace Wing, and this is what we call Studio 67. So it's an awesome chance to kind of be in it today to chat with you.
Yeah, I know. I feel honored to be a part of it. As the Blue Angels would say, although you're Air Force, I'm sure you're sending daggers my way right now. But just so glad to be here with you right now. So obviously you kind of alluded to it there, but just typical show format. 30 to 60 seconds roughly. Feel free to go on as long as you like, but just a little sort of elevator pitch, kind of, bar pitch of what your day job is, a little intro into the life of you, and just a kind of a snapshot of what goes on day to day where you are right now.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thanks again. Yeah, so Chief Master Sergeant Lance Power, I'm the command chief of the 67th Cyberspace Wing. We pride ourselves in being America's premier cyber wing. The Air Force is great on how we organize all of our wings around our Air Force. We have bomber wings, we have fighter wings, we have intel wings, we got airbase wings, and then we have cyber wings. So this is a unique opportunity. The cyber domain is, gosh, it is a very important domain for us to be able to do what we do to achieve the success that we need to achieve for our nation. So it's a great thing to be a part of, and it's much different than the air domain. You talked about the Blue Angels, we have our Thunderbirds, but we definitely as airmen, we're excited in the air superiority that we provide, certainly to our nation and to our allies, to our partners that we work closely with. But cyber is different. It's in many ways it's kind of like the Wild West. It's a very permissive. The adversary is not well known. We can't really see a uniform and a name tape and kind of know who's behind that digital sort of terrain. So but it's incredibly important. We have over 3,000 67 Cyberspace Wing members that are spread out across many geographical locations. And we're in the fight every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day. And then, a little bit about me. So I've been in the Air Force for a long time now. I often tell my airmen, I'm on year 27 of a 4-year enlistment. So I came in with 100% plan to do 4 years, right out of high school. I was literally 18 by 1 week. So just old enough to join. I'm from Indiana. It's kind of a smaller town feel, but this was an opportunity to sort of see the world a little bit, get the GI Bill so I can come back and go to school. But I just never wanted to leave. It was something that I had never been exposed to
Yeah.
before, and the caliber of the people that I've worked with has been incredible, just incredible. And we talked a little bit about this awesome team I have who helped set this conversation up today, but it has truly been it's something that you can't find anywhere else, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The teams I've been a part of have led me to have this passion to want to continue to serve, and it's why I'm still here today and excited to chat with you today.
Great. And, people in the podcast have always said when you lead with passion and you follow those sort of things that you're passionate about and you have a great team around you, then, you're always going to be set up for success. And yeah, be remiss to mention, with a surname like Power, I'd expect nothing less, to be honest, from you. So, anyway, right, let's look into this then. So, a bit of backstory then. We always go into backstory here and kind of, you alluded to it there, but just share a bit of that journey within the Air Force then and say what kind of inspired you to pursue a career in cyber operations and what were some of those pivotal moments that led you to your current role as the, Command Chief? And I guess, were you always into cyber stuff or is that something you found along the way?
Yeah, no, I looking back, it's, I think every career, in whatever profession we do, I like to think of them like a fingerprint. They're all different, they're all unique, no two are alike. I certainly think that's probably the case for mine. So coming in out of high school, excited to, get an adventure in life, get maybe a skill, and then, get back home and go to school and, figure out what I want to do with my life. But I came in as a radio operator. So this was, again, this was, a different century that began with a 1 and a 9. So this was quite a ways before the cyber, domain that we know today. But as a radio operator, it was a really cool opportunity providing communications. My first assignment was stationed at Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland. And one of the jobs we provided was communications to Air Force One. So pretty exciting as a young teenager to get an important mission like that. And you talked about those kind of moments and in our journey in life and the things that we do that kind of you look back, you don't realize it maybe in the trenches when you're living it and you're experiencing it, but those kind of become those pivotal moments. But one of those first ones for me was being there on September 11th in 2001 when unfortunately America has that pivotal moment in our history when we were under attack. Being there as a young airman, talking about the incredible teams, this was really my first exposure to what that was like, on duty that day with other great airmen. We all kind of banded together to, execute our mission, precisely. And that was a day, where a lot of people, when we look in the history books, they may not remember the details, but the whole world was very, very concerned. And just our phone system, everybody was calling, and really that sort of hampered the communications in the United States that day, especially the eastern coast of the United States. And nobody could really get through on those phone conversations. Back in those days, Air Force One didn't have that robust communications capability that it really has today. But looking back in those times, Air Force One, we had to, make sure the president had what he needed to, make those very senior leader decisions for our nation as we were, working through that difficult challenge. So as a young airman with all my teammates, we were providing phone patches to Air Force One, connecting the president to all those key decision makers to help move the country forward. So that was such a pivotal moment for me, really just to understand the importance of what I was doing, as a young airman, coming in to get a GI Bill to go home, but then, that cataclysmic moment in your career where you understand, wow, what I'm doing matters. Like it's contributing to so much more than, just what it is I'm interested in. It's, it's for the betterment of the mission, for our country, for our way of life. And even more so that team that I was a part of. You go through your training every day, your experiences in aviation, you appreciate just the amount of training that it takes to be, precise in what you do.
Yeah.
We trained every day and we never knew a moment like that was going to happen, but to be able to, execute that mission so flawlessly with so many of my teammates, It was just incredible to be around. And that was a huge moment, going on in my career. I absolutely wanted to continue to serve after that. I had a chance to deploy to Afghanistan. That's another pivotal moment when you're able to support a country and support our joint and coalition partners, to achieve mission success there. And then, stepping out of my sort of communications and, cyber, meanwhile, starting to evolve, but stepping out of that sort of career path, I got a chance to be a teacher at a leadership academy that we have in the Air Force over in Germany. And that was a great experience to spend time in Europe, but also to teach leadership. It's a topic that we can never stop learning about, but it really helped me grow a passion in leadership and being surrounded by that great team that we keep talking about.
Yeah.
And really, kind of in the more recent years, my wife Cassandra and I, we met after my time in Afghanistan from same small town in Indiana. We just had never met before, got a chance to come home on leave. We quickly got married and, quickly ventured off on our journey. But we had hoped and tried to have children for many, many years. And, after 10 years of trying, we kind of got to that point of, maybe it's just not in the cards for us. Maybe
Yep.
we're not meant to have kids. And then right when we were just about to give up hope, we found out we were expecting a child. And then a little bit further in that roller coaster of emotions, we found out twins. So
Oh my goodness.
it was oh yeah, it was and I was 40 when our twins were born. And I joke with a lot of the airmen, when most of us go through a midlife crisis, we get maybe a sports car, and I got twin babies instead. So it was such an incredible journey to have kids. And my twins are 4 years old now, and they're living their best life. But when they came into the world, it was very it was very challenging. So they were born super early, which happens at times with twins. You kind of run out of real estate in that sort of process. But they came exceptionally early, in week 29. So they were in the NICU for a very, very long period of time. And this was probably that more pivotal moment in recent years. When we're talking about the teams that we get a chance to be a part of. For the first time in my career, I kind of was no longer that person that was always supporting other people when they needed help. For the first time in my career, my family was getting incredible support from the team that we were a part of at that time. And it was a trying time. They were born in 2020. We were right at the height of the pandemic. It was just a very difficult time for the world. And then having, multiple kids at one time, and then, them coming in early, they're in the NICU for extended periods of time. I had endless support. Cassandra and I, we just felt so much love, and it kind of reinforced what I knew about the team that I get a chance to be a part of every day in the United States Air Force. But I just don't know if I would have that in anything else I could do. So at this point in my career, I love to continue to serve, just to kind of pour back into this Air Force that has given me so much, and then certainly setting up the opportunity for success for airmen in the future. And then cyber, it was really something that kind of evolved, I guess, in a way that Lance Power evolved throughout my career. Again, coming in as a radio operator, but cyber grew as a warfighting domain in that journey, kind of while I was growing as an airman. And naturally, just being in the business of communications, it really just kind of transformed into cyberspace operations over time. And this wing, the 67th Cyberspace Wing, there's no other wing like it. We are the Air Force's cyber mission force. We organize ourselves where we have this cyber mission force all in one organization, so that way we can be synergized and we can move out quickly, and provide critical defensive cyberspace operations to the United States Air Force, but to our Department of Defense and to our allies, to our partners. We do that both in our terrain, but also in the ally and partner terrain as well. And then, at times we prepare ourselves to, if necessary, if called upon, we can go into the adversary terrain and achieve those strategic objectives that will be necessary to win the fight. So it is, a journey I probably wouldn't have said I planned out, but holy moly, when you look back at life and sometimes you don't know why, things happen the way they happen, but you just appreciate how they happen, and they kind of lead you on, on a path that you wish you could go back and relive, but you're just so grateful that you get a chance to be a part of it. So this is an awesome journey, and I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah, I can tell it's a hell of a career, and I could honestly say the same thing for my career. It's been a magic carpet ride, and honestly, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something. If you asked me what I'd be doing here today, I would be a world apart different of what it actually is. But I'm just so glad to be here, and it sounds like you've totally hit the jackpot and doing what you love. And I know what you just said. It kind of indicates that careers just take all sorts of swings and turns and stuff. But I'd be remiss not to say, what do you kind of think's coming up next for you? What's your kind of brief little game plan there? What's your what are you looking to do with this amazing career you've got and this culmination of years?
Yeah, that's probably the topic that's been coming up more recently. We honestly don't know. So we kind of go into every opportunity with the mindset of, hey, this could be it. So let's give it our all. Let's make the most of it. And we, gosh, I could probably go back to the last 3 or 4 jobs where, we're like, hey, this is probably the last chance we'll have the opportunity to do something quite like this.
Mm.
I never envisioned myself to be a command chief. In fact, when I was an airman talking about that young teenager, I certainly didn't even know what a command chief was.
Yeah.
But, to get to the, place in a career where, I had a chance to compete for an opportunity like this, and then to be selected to be a command chief and to come to a cyberspace wing, like holy moly, like there is a lot of great wings and incredible missions around the Air Force, but there's no mission like the 67th Cyberspace Wing. We have airmen that are smarter than anybody I've ever been around. It is incredible, like the skills that they have, the passion for wanting to learn more that they have every single day within cyber. In cyber, you certainly know this. It is exponentially growing every single day. Like just when you think you have it figured out, a new technology or a new capability is being developed. So we are always on our toes, but we have the best and the brightest from across America that are coming into the Air Force, and then they're choosing to come into cyber because they're passionate about making sure we can defend it. We can make sure it's capable and available and ready for our war fighters to use if necessary, to achieve our important mission that we get after every single day. But what's next for me? I don't know. I would say we're just excited for any opportunity that we're considered for, and then we strive to just make the most of
Yeah.
it. So we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, I'll be watching that with two very open eyes and a big heart, because you've done an amazing job so far, and I can't wait to see what's next for you. But all right, let's get into the thick of it then. So, give me an overview then of what the 67 Cyberspace Wing is and what the kind of mission is then, how it fits into the broader objective of the US Air Force and Cyber Command, essentially. Then, so what are some of the key challenges? What are the big accomplishments that define the team's work, would you say? Just kind of give us a little bit of a insight into the spectrum of what goes on. Hopefully we don't reveal anything too bad.
Yeah, no, gosh, it's something that we're eager to share more about, because like I said, we have airmen that do incredible things. So in the 67th, we call ourselves the gunslingers. So it's something that we're proud of. We're gunslinger nation. I talked about how we're a global wing. We're geographically all over the place because, just like cyber, it's everywhere. So gunslingers, we need to be everywhere. So what we do, it's pretty incredible. When I first got in the wing, again, not just naturally coming into the Air Force to do cyber, but kind of growing an interest and then eventually turning into a passion to be a part of cyber. I'm surrounded by airmen that came in to do cyber because they're already good at it, and then they get even better when they join the wing. But we have such an important mission, and cyber is so intricately interwoven into everything that the United States Air Force does. So our mission in the Air Force is to fly, fight, and win. But if you go back 77 years in time, when we divorced ourselves from the U.S. Army, we said, all right, America, all of our allies, all of our partners, here are the things that we're going to make sure we do, and we always get right. Air superiority, We're always going to provide strategic, capabilities, with our nuclear mission that we have with our bombers, with our ICBMs. We're going to get command and control done really well. Our intel is going to be top notch, and then we're going to have rapid global mobility, which you can kind of see in our airlift and our ability to kind of move people and fuel and patients around the world. So that's what the Air Force does. But all of those kind of core missions and core functions of the Air Force, those are interwoven every step of the way with cyber. They're very dependent on cyber. There's not a jet that we produce and get to an operational capability that we're using as a weapon system in the Air Force that doesn't have cyber dependencies embedded in it. All of our weapon systems have it. The challenge with that is our adversaries understand that, and there's not many, adversaries that are willing or, eager to just get in a head-to-head fight, with the U.S. Air Force or any of our allies or any of our partners. So I think they always strive to kind of find those ways that they can maybe undermine us and maybe get us with our defenses down. So that's why cyber is just so incredibly important. So we pride ourselves in the cyber mission force that we are for the U.S. Air Force. So all of the joint services have a cyber mission force, the U.S. Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, and they all provide exquisite capabilities. And in the U.S. Air Force, the cyber mission force is all inside of the 67th Cyberspace Wing. And we're made up of teams that are cyber mission teams, cyber protection teams, and then cyber support teams. And these teams, they go through extensive training, years and years of training, very, very high end stuff. And it's pretty remarkable the skills and capabilities that they provide, when they're fully mission capable and qualified to do incredible work on the mission that we do every day.
Yeah.
So we really organize in a way where we defend the Air Force's digital skies, if you will. We talked about the air side of it that the Air Force does, but we're the defenders of the digital skies. But at the same time, we don't only defend the U.S. sort of digital terrain, but also allies and partners. We work very closely with them. At any given day, there's gunslingers that are in a partner nation somewhere around the world, and we often I've heard the phrase cyberbullying. So there's some nations out there, maybe their cyber capability is not as advanced yet. And there's an adversary that may try to influence them a certain way. Well, we love to come in as gunslingers and help that nation out, help them get their cybersecurity in order. And then meanwhile, we're kind of learning about what techniques and tactics are being used, against, maybe others that are not U.S. Air Force airmen. And then also we always have to stay ready as gunslingers. So we have to train to, develop and deliver these capabilities to combatant commanders. So as a U.S. Air Force, we're organized, trained, and equipped, every single day, but we're prepared and delivered and employed through our combatant commands. Our combatant commanders are the war-fighting commands that we have in the Air Force. So for us in the 67th, we're employed to U.S. Cyber Command. So U.S. Cyber Command is the warfighting command for cyber for the U.S. military. So we execute the operations that we execute through them and through their direction, and it's just pretty incredible. It's as a gunslinger, the airmen that come in. I always tell myself, we're a large organization, over 3,000 gunslingers. But no matter where I go in the wing, whenever I walk in a room, I immediately tell myself I am now the dumbest person in this room by far, because these airmen have such exquisite skills and capabilities that definitely trump anything I know about cyber. So, I quickly try to uncover and figure out what can I do to support them. You talked about maybe the things that have come up as challenges. I think in life you're just always going to be presented with those. Probably the biggest challenge that I've seen in my time in the 67th, these exquisite capabilities, the tremendous, skills and the knowledge and the talent that our gunslingers have. It is exceptionally hard to retain that and to get them to continue to serve, because outside of the Air Force, there's a great talent competition that is going on every single day, and outside of the military, there are, many opportunities that are available for that same type of talent where they can support, various different parts of life. And by no means, do we want to ever deter somebody from, making a decision that's best for their family. But at the same time, we want to keep that incredible talent in the Air Force so we can continue to be great at what we do. So, the retention piece has always been something that we're eager to get after. This is an exciting time and as an airman in the Air Force because one of the things that our Secretary of the Air Force is instituting right now to help us is the reestablishment of the warrant officer program. So I'm not sure, if you recall, but way back in the day, the Air Force actually did have a warrant officer program, but about 65 years ago, they turned it off. But now, for the first time, all these years later, they're bringing them back, and they're bringing them back in cyber and in IT. So it's an opportunity for us to really just kind of hunker down on those airmen who have incredible skills that are very perishable. Cyber, it's exponentially growing. It's always changing. But oftentimes, whether we're enlisted, whether we're an officer, we're the experts at what we do. But then over time, we advance in our career, and then the Air Force puts us in more leadership roles. As a command chief, I'm not going to be on the keyboard every day and doing incredible things. You kind of transition to more that leader manager focus. Yeah. But for warrant officers, just like in other services and other militaries, they continue to be that technical expert, a master tradesman in the craft that they provide. And that's so necessary in cyber, especially as the world continues to evolve. It's going to be hard to always keep up, but to kind of, as an institution, the United States Air Force, to emphasize the importance of cyber, we're pretty excited that the warrant officer program is coming back. And our wing, the 67th, we're getting over half of all of the warrant officers that are being selected this year and in the coming years. So we're excited to have that talent in the wing and keep that talent in the wing.
Absolutely.
You talked about things that we're proud of, those achievements, the things that our team has had with success. Your show, you could probably go on for hours and hours with all the things that I could list, but a couple of things that really come to mind that stand out just in very recent times. Here in the U.S., we're kind of going through that season of our presidential election and all of our elections. Right now, and if you're a gunslinger in the 67th Cyberspace Wing, it is an exciting time because we get to be a part of the election security defense for our nation right now. It's pretty well known that there's adversaries out there that would love to undermine the U.S. political system and pit Americans against each other. So what we've done over recent years is prepare ourselves to make sure we have the most secure elections possible. So working, through U.S. Cyber Command, we're able to execute operations if necessary for any disinformation operators that could be out there from adversarial countries that try to put misinformation out there or try to undermine the system that we have in place that we've had for almost 250 years now. So whenever that stuff transpires or pops up, we're able to work together within the cyber domain to kind of protect and preserve the important voting system that we have, so that way all Americans know that the elections are as secure as they can be.
Yeah.
So pretty exciting time. Yeah.
And that's quite social media based then, is it? Or how does that look? I mean, there's so much out there, isn't there, all across the internet, but I mean, kind of, where do you see the most damaging impact of this kind of a problem?
Yeah, for me personally, I think I probably see it a little bit more on social media, just with the family and the friends. You can kind of quickly see how fast the disinformation can perpetuate through social media, and then behaviors start getting influenced. People start believing things that they see. So what we're capable of doing is, if U.S. Cyber Command identifies, someone out there who could be producing that, then it's an opportunity for us to make sure it doesn't become effective and reach the American people. So it's a great way that we have to protect and kind of preserve our country from getting that disinformation and misinformation in such an important time.
Brilliant. Yeah, I totally agree. And it's I really appreciate the insight there for sure. It's fantastic. And going into this conversation, as an interviewer, as a podcaster, it's always my job to try and push to find the interesting information as much as I can in a space like this. Obviously, the professional side of things has to take priority, where I obviously need to make sure that things are in line with the guidelines and stuff. But I figured I just want to ask, and feel free to kind of skirt around it if you must. But I figured this was a good way of sort of getting some appreciation for what you guys do. But if, for example, we flicked a switch and the 67th Cyberspace Wing was turned off and it wasn't active anymore, how quickly would we face significant problems, would you say? What sort of infrastructure would be an issue? And I just kind of wonder, what would the world look like, or what would the US look like quickly, if you guys weren't doing what you do? I hope that's a good way of sort of asking that question.
Yeah, gosh, I don't think we'd want a day without gunslingers, on watch and keeping us safe. In many ways, most people don't even know what we do is happening, but every day that the cyber domain is available for our commanders and our Air Force to have the success it has, then it's mission accomplishment. But if we were not here, holy moly! So I think one of the things that that probably is the threat that is going to be concerning, especially in the coming years. We look at cyber, as what it is right now in 2024, but I always wonder, what's it going to be in 2050?
Yeah.
What's it going to be in the coming years when more and more potential adversaries who have nefarious objectives are going to start to advance capabilities. So it's such a niche skill to be able to defend against that. We often wonder, outside of the U.S. military, outside of the militaries of other countries, the critical infrastructure that every country relies upon, with water, with gas, with electricity, with their communications. I think those are the things that in the coming years, when more and more adversarial threats kind of advance their cyber capabilities, I think those are the things that we're going to have to start to really consider. How can we better defend? If the 67 Cyberspace Wing wasn't here, I sure would hate to, I sure would hate to kind of be in a place where we need, that stuff to be defended, but there's nobody here to defend, to keep the adversaries out of it. So we have our defensive cyber operators who have the skills to detect and kind of deter and kind of keep those cyber doors locked and hardened from an adversary coming in. So just on a surface level, we keep the fence line strong so that way nobody can get in, and knowing that it's there every day, we're able to kind of do what we do within the terrain that we operate from. So it's important to keep the gunslingers on the line and certainly prepared to keep the bad guys out.
Too right. I mean, in my eye, I certainly see that as the silent guardians who probably get almost. I mean, I can't speak for the US news, as I don't. Yeah, I'm in the UK, but I mean, I imagine them the silent guardians who do a lot of fine work that would never be spoken about to anyone. And it's important for times like these and podcasts like this to appreciate that there's people out there. So even if it's just saying a prayer or having a moment of appreciation, it's very important. But so obviously you kind of alluded to it there. The future's coming, and I'd say, I'm a young dude, but I remember when I was kind of growing up and stuff, a lot of pretty enticing career paths and skill sets and stuff that were relevant maybe a few years ago are looking, dangerously threatened right now or gone entirely as well. So I guess with the evolution of something like cyber, where it's very obviously volatile over the next decade, talking about young people coming into the space and young professionals, what sort of trends would you look out for there? What sort of skill sets would you prioritize learning in the cyberspace? And if you did enlist, what would you be looking to do if you were starting again at this stage in time now?
Yeah, it's something we think of often because I've been in a while, and I know one day here soon I'm not going to be in uniform, at least. Hopefully I'll be doing other fun things in life, but we always have to find the talented, passionate, motivated people who want to come in behind us, and we kind of support and build them up. So one of the things we do in the 67th that we're really proud of, there's a program that's called Cyber Patriot. So we have, units that are spread out across the United States, and they have an opportunity through local high schools that often have our junior reserve officer training corps, or JROTC. So they have those kind of airmen, future airmen that are kind of going through the system and high school age, or even junior high school, where they're already having a little bit of an interest of maybe serving in the military one day, but they don't know for sure. Not all of them end up going into the military, but it gives them a little bit of that sort of discipline, that structure that maybe we're trying to build within the younger generation that will be coming in behind us. But within that program, through all of the schools in the United States, there's an opportunity for schools to adopt the Cyber Patriot program, which is it's a great program where it starts to build that cyber kind of skill set, both IT and cyber, within very young Americans. Nothing like that was around in my day, but it's really cool to kind of see the evolution of that program, where we can kind of go in as airmen in the Air Force today. We take the uniform off. We're in our civilian clothes just to give them a chance to kind of connect with us, and we can mentor them and guide them and kind of teach them some of the basic skills of how to be a cyber operator, how to achieve kind of some of the things that maybe we're looking for in the Air Force, or maybe just that young American is looking to kind of grow, just so they're more capable of managing the cyberspace in their own way. I really kind of think one of the skills that we look for, and you could really use this in any form of society or an industry, but certainly in the case of the Air Force and in cyber, it's that critical thinking skill. We're very reminded of this cyber domain. It's I use that sort of term, the Wild West. Like every day, it could be different looking with regard to what an adversary could try to do, or what we could be up against. You never know what malware. I kind of call them the cyber bombs that somebody could be trying to drop, that you could have to try to defuse and keep contained. So you have to be a very, very good critical thinker and kind of problem solver to be able to kind of think through what tactics, techniques, or procedures would you have to execute in a moment's notice that may not be very well defined already. So the other thing though that really stands out, and again, this isn't only specific to just being an airman or just being in cyber, but I think the thing that really stands out in a major way just in life is, first and foremost, just those that are having an incredible attitude, like a positive attitude. I don't know, I get a sense that you're somebody who appreciates the positivity and the attitude that we have, and how we,
Yep.
How we connect with other people. I think our attitude is everything. Just being positive, understanding, that life has ups and downs. We often kind of think about how life happens to us, but maybe having a perspective of, life can happen for you, and you can kind of take control of your situation as best you can and overcome any obstacle. So that positive attitude goes a long way. But as they're growing their skill set in cyber in these high schools, they're getting very competent. And they're getting very good at what they're doing. They're getting certifications in many different ways at such a young age, that when they go into the job market one day, or when they go into industry, or if they come into the military and the Air Force and the 67th Cyberspace Wing, they're already coming in with these certifications and skills. And the last thing that really kind of stands out, of course, attitude, their competence, but their effort. Like we want airmen, and we want those that are going to be, working in the cyber domain, to have the kind of effort where, you're not going to stop if you hit that first roadblock or that first firewall, or whatever the case is. You're going to be somebody who is going to figure out how to get around it, or get over it, or punch through it, and not allowing circumstances to define you, but to allow yourself to kind of overcome any situation. So effort is everything. So those are the kind of things that we look for, and when we're out in these high schools, we're excited to mentor, to develop, and hopefully make great Americans that will contribute in society. And then along the way, hopefully help recruit and kind of find those that maybe have a passion to serve and a passion to be an airman and to join the military and be a part of something that's bigger than themselves.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. I love it. And yeah, I've heard different takes on this, but yeah, at least I can speak for myself. Just the generation that's coming through now, and people around my age and stuff. I don't know. It just feels like sometimes maybe if it's social media or just the way the world is and stuff, it just seems like there's a certain sharpness in the brain that's left a lot of young people. And I think people sometimes call it brain drain, but I'm just wondering, what kind of strategies are being implemented by the US Air Force to retain that top talent in cyber operations? And how does it look? How does the future look in youth? Are the people coming through top notch? What kind of trends do you see different in a generation before versus a generation now and the ones coming through, do you think?
Yeah, I I really appreciate that question because very recently, all of the first sergeants in the 67th Cyberspace Wing, we kind of got together and we all read a book. I kind of had a chance to kind of go through this book with them. It was about Generation Z, and the kind of thought and mindset I had when I was able to convince my boss to buy these books and we got them to all the first sergeants was, more than half of the Air Force and more than half of at least the U.S. military is Generation Z, and more than half has come in since COVID. So they're very, very young. They're kind of on that early end of their careers. And I think it's probably inherent of every generation that comes, before, but they always love to bash that next generation. They like to say, oh, back in my day, this is how I
Yeah.
was. And that was the case for me,
Yeah,
for sure. But
Dad.
I yeah, yeah, exactly. So I kind of was hopeful that the first sergeants who are in charge of the discipline and the structure and really that leadership of every of the units of the squadrons that we have in the wing, that we can kind of reframe that mindset of, Generation Z is coming in with such incredible talent, incredible skills like no generation ever has before. And we're in the 67th Cyberspace Wing. We're in the one wing in the Air Force that has this premier cyberspace capability. We're going to need the very best of the best that are going to come from Generation Z, but we have to know how to lead them right. We can't lead them like maybe what worked well for millennials or Gen X before. Like we need to lead them the way that they deserve to be led. And who knows what's upcoming in the future? Who knows what maybe down the road, but we have between right now and whenever that next huge challenge comes to prepare them for that opportunity so they can be successful, and we have to do it in a way that works best for them. So I really have grown a huge appreciation and respect and admiration for Generation Z. Just the way they think is just so much different, so much sharper. One of the things I'm sure you've heard, Louis, and we've all probably appreciated not long ago that book Simon Sinek put out called Start with
Yeah.
Why. I don't think there's a generation that resonates better with than Gen Z. Back in my day, Airman Lance Power, if you told me to do something, I didn't think about it, I did it. And I probably never even knew why. Like maybe even today, I don't know why I did but looking back, then and then now, we can't really operate that way. We have to kind of begin with that why. And Gen Z is just so wicked smart. Like our airmen, the quicker they understand it, not only are they going to do it, they're going to do such a good job that they're going to figure out how to do it better than probably the way I envisioned that it should have been done. And that's the talent that we have in the 67 Cyberspace Wing. It's just such incredible talent. And as long as we continue to kind of find ways to support and prepare them for the important things that we need them to do, I think they're going to be hugely successful. And the U.S. Air Force, our allies, our partners, and everybody we're on this team with, we're all going to always be successful because we're going to have incredible, the best of the best of Gen Z that are serving their countries.
Absolutely. I love it. That's inspiring, and it makes a whole lot of sense. I appreciate you sharing the insights there. And so we kind of not to say that this conversation hasn't been impactful for everyone, but we always go into some stuff that people can literally actionably take away from everyone who comes on the show, and specific things. So to do with your space, I think this is something really important for people, everyone, mum, pop back home, and yeah, business owners and myself and just everyone in general. And something I've noticed is that scams and stuff and cybersecurity and things have evolved obviously a whole load over the last few years. And yeah, where it used to be the fishiest email in the world or the most dodgy text ever, it's now pretty yeah, it's evolved. You get messages from people on Instagram and stuff who you know and stuff, and there's links there and things that sound familiar. And cybersecurity in general, it's clearly very critical. And stuff like, you know, one of the computers at work where I work right now, you know, the security on there, it seems like it's been out for about 50 days, and I don't think anyone cares because I don't think anyone really knows what the danger is there exactly. And I think I at least, I'm no expert at all. I won't pretend to be. But my general sort of consensus is that somewhere a few years ago, I think I've heard that Apple's security and cybersecurity is top notch, so you don't need to don't need to worry about it. So I guess, what are some of the big threats out there? How can you protect yourself? What should you have on your computers? When things evolve technology wise, people also make a lot of gimmicks. What's a gimmick? What should you have? What's tried and tested? Just a kind of little guide almost into cybersecurity for everyone listening in.
Yeah, no, that's a great opportunity to probably, kind of go back to what I mentioned with Cyber Patriot. So we get a chance to connect with all those, young Americans that are going through junior high school, going through high school. But we have 10 tips that we share with them. I thought maybe I could share those now,
Right.
and then maybe to kind of talk through them a little bit. But first and foremost, the first thing we tell them is they are going to be a target of hackers. Like we all at some point need to understand and accept that at some point in our lives we will be a target of a hacker who's probably going to be very good at what they do. So the tips that I say next really just kind of keep that focus always in perspective. Like somebody's going to come after you, they're going to try to get to your most important information, the things that you're going to rely upon, and we have to make sure we're prepared for that. So you mentioned it maybe a little bit earlier, but the second tip that we always share is keep your software up to date. That is immensely important because updates are always happening, always being made. And I get on my wife Cassandra about this all the time. Like if you look at her phone, she has like a million like indicators that she's never looked at, and some of those are just like her phone needs to be updated. And reminding, all of those who maybe it's not as natural to do that, or maybe we'll get to it later. Those are really important things to update, whether it's our browser, the Flash, the Java, whatever it is we use, that they stay up to date. Also, whenever you're using a web browser here in the US, we often use Chrome and Firefox. So those are really, really good ones that have frequent security updates automatically. So those are good ones to kind of utilize when you're, out on the internet. You mentioned it, the third tip that we tell the young airmen to be, hopefully, that are in Cyber Patriot in our high schools, is avoid those phishing scams. Like it is incredible, even serving in the 67th Cyberspace Wing, where maybe we get a chance to help support other countries out there. We have airmen that are briefing foreign ministries of defense, and it's incredible because I remember when I was an airman, I was in charge of like the snack bar, and here they are, they're briefing very senior leaders and foreign military services and departments, and they're just, oh, it's just my job, chief, it's no big deal. But they're briefing them on things like, please be careful of the phishing emails, because people all over the world every single day continue to fall for it. Like you said, a lot of times it looks like it's somebody or somebody you can trust, and the guard is down, and we're kind of forgetting that first tip I started with, is remembering people are trying to hack you every single day. They're trying to infiltrate us. So being suspicious of any of those official looking kind of emails or phone messages, or whatever may come in. Practicing good password management is a huge tip. I again, it's alarming how often you'll find people that kind of have that one password they've had for like the last 30 years or something, and it's always worked for them because they don't forget it. That is a bad that is a bad
Yeah.
practice. And having a very good password, and there's so many of those you know opportunities that are out there. whether it's like through those password kind of companies. Sometimes people even pay for services that manage their passwords. I'm a believer that it does need to change every so often, pretty frequently, pretty routinely, to make sure that it's always kind of keeping you safe. Be careful what you click on. You never know what it could lead you to. There's so many, unknown websites out there. There's so many things that are leading us astray, that are going to automatically, without us even knowing it, they're going to automatically download malware onto our devices, onto our laptop. So never ever click anything that you don't know. And that's something that our young Americans in these high schools through the Cyber Patriot program, that's probably the one thing that they struggle the most with, because they move so quickly through cyber. They move so quickly and what they're doing to get things done, that they really have to almost slow themselves down and think about what it is that they're clicking on. Never leaving your device unattended is a huge tip. I was just traveling recently to visit some of our airmen in the wing that were at a different location, and I was hanging out at the airport. I was eating, and somebody was trying to save their seat of where they were, having their lunch at, and they left their computer, they left their phone, and then they went to the bathroom. And I was like, holy moly, here we are in 2024, and somebody is just like, okay, leaving all of their stuff, and I felt compelled to like watch it for them and make sure that nobody was gonna mess with it. But you never know if somebody decided to take it, break into it, and then so much of our mobile devices, all the things that all the apps, all the different things that we have on our mobile devices are so important. A lot of us use our mobile devices for many different things, like, our banking information. We use them for our airplane tickets, whatever it is. The fact that somebody left it just blows my mind. So, always make sure to take good care of that. Maybe you mentioned it earlier, but that antivirus and anti-malware protection, making sure you're installing that. That stuff is hugely important. I always kind of think in the military, I have a very long history of all these shots that I've had, all these vaccinations that I've had in my arm, and I don't even know what half of them were, but I'm pretty sure they were meant to protect me. So I always think of antivirus protection and malware protection as almost like a vaccine. Like there are things that were created that are meant to do harm, and here's the vaccine for your devices, here's the vaccine for your computer that's going to keep it safe against that. So it's just important to make sure we keep that up to date. And probably that last tip that we always give them, that a lot of us don't really think about until it's too late, but make sure to back up your data. We often get to the point in time where something happens to our phone, something happens to our laptop, to our equipment. If it comes down to it, at the end of the day, if it doesn't come back to the, restored process or capability that was before, if something bad were to happen to it, we're all going to rely on our data being backed up. So, make sure that you back it up. If you have an Apple, phone or Samsung, I think there's ways that hopefully, that may be happening automatically, but at the very least, it's good to check every now and again to see when the last time it was updated, just in case you need to rely upon it. But those are the tips that we give, the young Americans that are kind of going through these high schools that are in Cyber Patriot. We're just trying to build that mindset up in them where it's very natural to them, versus maybe those who haven't grown up in kind of this cyber world that we're living in, to understand just the threats that are out there are very, very real. And we're all at risk of them every single day.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you. And I think, we're coming up probably towards the back end of this podcast now, but just to kind of go a little bit more on that talk we just had now, two parts to this question, really. But I think, other than financially, why would someone be targeted by a hacker? Like, for example, my family, my dad is very passionate about his cybersecurity and stuff. He has all the apps and all the latest stuff and the VPNs and everything. And sometimes I just wonder why he thinks that he would be attacked by someone, and why there's a threat there. Because, what's, me out here in, the middle of Somerset in the sticks in the woodland kind of a thing, outside of a village, on a pretty old property, why would someone want something with me? And so I guess, why, what can they get from you beyond just finances? And then the second part to that is, let's say a scenario happens where you get contacted by someone, you get targeted. What would be your sort of a directive, or your sort of I think, in the Air Force, or the Navy, they call it kind of a strategic sort of contingency plan. What would you do to verify and then recognize a threat when it seems so familiar and so well done by the other end?
Yeah, great questions. Yeah, so the financial piece is a big one, and the sort of I don't think a day goes by where you don't hear about a financial institution or some sort of espionage is happening to hack into some corporation, and then that the ransomware that sort of comes after that. So always kind of keeping our guards up, and all the institutions that we're a part of, financial institutions especially, to protect themselves from that ransomware from happening. So a lot of times too, the other area that could be at risk, in addition to all of our financial, you know, um, you know, plans and accesses that we have to our banking institutions, I would say probably the health records that we have, something that we may not hold in the same regard, but also critically important for the privacy that we have with the devices. And so many of our devices nowadays are tracking with wearables and with capabilities. The other thing that we really probably need to hopefully understand is the things that we download onto our phones, especially our mobile devices. What sort of fine print, or maybe we not aware of when we're making that new app that we want to have because we see our friends participating on it. What rights are we giving up to the owner of that app to maybe have access to our phone without us understanding it? So there's apps out there that don't come from maybe trusted sources. So it's important to make sure we kind of guard ourselves against that. And what we could be giving up the control, to the owners behind those apps that we may not realize. So yeah, they could be coming after us to steal our identity. They could be trying to get our health information, our financial information, or they could just be trying to influence us. We talked earlier how this is a time in America where it's really important for us to kind of protect and defend ourselves from that sort of misinformation that could be coming in right now. So all that we're at risk of, every single day. And uh, the second part of your question, if you could restate that one again one more time,
Yeah, just
so I.
contingency plan is what I'd call it. So something happens and you get the call and it sounds dead on. It makes sense. It coincides with something you've done recently. And they seem legit. How do you protect yourself? What's your sort of I can't quite remember what the exact terminology is, but there's like a contingency plan, and then you have like a set list of, okay, here's what I'm going to do: step one, step two, step three, to check things through, verify things, and see what the situation is, and avoid the problem and giving them access. So, what would be your sort of checklist of what to do if something happens?
Yeah. So it's one of the things we do in the Air Force every year, because cyber is so important. We go through our kind of annual traditional cybersecurity training, and it's funny. It's like, oh, I got to do my cybersecurity training, but every year at least it kind of gives us a chance to sort of level set and refresh. These are the steps to do if something like this were to happen, and it does a good job of kind of covering this. But like step one is like basically don't make it worse. Like
Yeah.
if you have something like into your inbox, or you have something that kind of came to you that indicates that maybe you've been compromised or you've been hacked, or whatever the case is, like don't follow the instructions or don't click on the things that it's providing for you to click on. It's just going to take you like deeper into a bad situation. So the first thing to do is just not make it worse. The next thing to do is, at least for us in the 67th, is make sure you get the help you need. We all have, at least in our organization, we have those security managers, we have those IT professionals. Like they're the ones that sort of live in those spaces every single day. I'm lucky in the 67th, it's all of us, but I know outside of the 67th, not everybody has the same level of expertise. So it's probably, stopping yourself from making it worse, and it's making sure you're getting to the right people to kind of triage
Yeah.
your equipment, whether it's your laptop, your computer, your device, whatever the case may be,
Mm,
and not allowing it to kind of spread further.
great.
And then, don't believing everything either, because, like we mentioned earlier, we live in a day and time where, we all get the spam emails, we all get the text messages nowadays. We get those phone calls of people claiming certain things, but just not following, not
Yeah.
falling for this trick that they're trying to pull, even if it seems like we're being compromised, even if it seems like they have our personal information, not giving in and calling the authorities and kind of getting the authorities involved, is kind of that last step. Whatever organization we're a part of, we all have a chance to kind of reach out to the authorities
Yeah.
if somebody kind of breaches that line.
Right.
Is kind of our sort of process that we go through with our cybersecurity.
Right. I think that leads us off. I think that's fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the expertise and the information. It's been a pleasure. Before we wrap it up, we have a shameless plug moment then. So anything to promote, for anyone listening in who's made it this far in the podcast, anything, of your own or anything of the 67th, feel free. Take a minute, promote anything that you like. We're here for it.
Wow, thanks. Yeah, Louis, thanks so much for the chance to be on your show. Like, huge honor. Extremely humbled. Just looking at the long list again of incredible humans that you've had time to share, and kind of hear their stories, and those four kind of topics that they poured back into this important time of our world to make us all better. So thank you for doing what you do, and thanks for the chance to kind of be on today. I guess the shameless plug I'll have is, if you're not sure what to do in your life, and you're looking for something that is maybe a higher calling, there's no better opportunity to contribute back in a major way than being an airman in the United States Air Force. It's such an incredible opportunity. I can't tell you how many countries I've been to, because I don't remember. I've lost track. Like, I've seen the world. I've been on incredible teams that we talked about in your show today. Like, I know that I would not have had experienced this version of life if I stayed in my comfort
Yeah.
zone, if I stuck around kind of the people that I felt safe to, and I didn't want to venture from. But by stepping out of the comfort zone, by joining the United States Air Force, and then getting into cyber, like such a new domain. We've had the air domain pretty you know uh covered down on for some time, but cyber is a very important domain
Yeah.
too, and it's kind of that new warfighting domain. To be on the front edges of that, if you want to join the Air Force, and then if you want to be a part of the front edges of the cyber domain and the fight every single day, then the 67th Cyberspace Wing is an incredible place to work, an incredible place to serve. It has been the highlight of my career, my 27 years. And, I guess my shameless plug is, if you want to be a gunslinger, please reach out. We would love to make sure you have an opportunity to join what we consider the premier cyber wing in the Air
I
Force.
love it. That's fantastic. And yeah, all I can say is just thank you so much for joining me today for the Talk4 podcast. It's been a real pleasure and an honor having you on. And I really want to extend the thanks, not just to you, but also to the that team that you spoke so highly of, who've managed to make this whole thing happen. And also extend more thanks to, as a civilian, to the people in that building who I'll never hear about, but do so much every day to protect the free world, and people like me and people, my friends and stuff. So that commemoration goes far beyond just you, but I can only thank you for being the voice and the spokesperson of what's clearly a fantastic team of people today. And got to ask, you call yourselves the Gunslingers. I've heard you're based in Texas, and you call it the Cyber Wild West. So when you get out of that outfit, do you become a cowboy, or what happens to you?
It's funny you say that. So, we're the gunslingers. We just did our wing did a trunk or treat. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with trunk or treats. You probably are, but for those of us with kids, our kids get in the costumes, they walk around, and all the trunks of the cars that are there, they're all decked out with different sort of Halloween decorations. So my son Everett, he was a cheetah. My daughter Evelyn, she was a spider. Cassie, she's an awesome mom and great teammate. She was the spider web, but of course I had to be a gunslinger, right? So I had the Western outfit, I had the cowboy hat, and then our mascot, his name is Bones, but he's a skeleton. So it's pretty cool to get a chance to recognize him. So I had a skull mask and I was a gunslinger. But I will say this, so our kind of motto, we get a chance to wear this patch, and it says Lux Ex Tenebris, which is Latin, and it stands for light from darkness. So we pride ourselves of being the ones, when the adversaries are going to try to make the world a dark place, we will always be here to bring light from darkness. And we always say light them up. So being a gunslinger is awesome. It's cool to be in Texas. But we're excited to light them up every single day.
I love it. It's fantastic. And I'm going to leave and imagine that there's absolutely a leather jacket and a cowboy hat in your bag underneath that camo fatigue of yours right there. But yeah, like I said, such an honor, such a pleasure. Thanks for doing this today. And big thanks to all of the team out there too. It's an honor.
Awesome. Thanks, Louis. I appreciate everything. Thanks.
Awesome. And thank you guys for listening to this. Has been episode 125. And if you'd like to listen to some of those incredible past episodes mentioned there, go and have a look at the channel. And if you'd like to listen in for the future ones coming up too, there's some really good ones on the block right now. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, spread some love, leave a like and a comment. Signing off for now. See you next time.